Hey everyone, the establishment media continues to prove why they are becoming less relevant to the political discourse and conversations that are taking place all over, not just the US and Canada, but the entire Western world, and maybe in some far off places that I don't even pay attention to. And it's articles such as this that will further prove my point and back up what I'm saying. This particular article is out of NBC News with a headline, "Forget Facebook, YouTube videos are quietly radicalizing large numbers of people and the company is profiting." Extremism on YouTube is interwoven with the platform itself, allowing both extremists and executives to profit from dangerous content. So let's just step back real quick here for a moment here, before I even delve into the article. Those in the established media, as if they're not benefiting financially from creating all the political propaganda that we all know about. I mean, come on. I mean, whether you're from the right or left, everyone out there has a grievance with those in the establishment media. And you know the kind of tabloid style, sensationalized, divisive identity politics reporting that they've been using for the last couple of years at least to maintain some kind of semblance of relevance out there on the media landscape. They've seen their numbers. For years it was going down, 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 down. And as a means to stave off or to stop the continuation of their decline, well, you've seen what they've resorted to. I mean, like I say, it's like having the National Enquirer or a tabloid magazine taken from print and put on television and in the news on a daily basis. They're all profiting from it. They're all benefiting from it. And you know, all their narratives are ideologically driven. So whether you're someone that's anti-Fox News, right, that's more conservative leaning, or you're anti-CNN or MSNBC that's left leaning, you all know that there's ideologically driven narratives that are constantly espoused by those in the established media. But you also know, as a consequence of that, that these big giant corporations have a finite amount of people that they hire to promote or propagate that kind of political narrative, which is why you only see one side or the other predominantly. Sometimes on Fox News you get this kind of quasi-fakeness, right? Or I guess maybe even a little bit sometimes on CNN or MSNBC, where they pretend that people are arguing against each other, but at the end of the day they're very close to each other as far as their ideology. They just might disagree on certain particular nuances in that very narrow spectrum of their dominant ideology. Whereas a platform such as YouTube, which is what this article is going to be referencing, think about what YouTube is. I mean, YouTube's been around a long time. I know I jumped on board way long time ago, 2006. I think it was April of 2006 was the very first time I created my very first YouTube channel. And all YouTube is, I mean, listen to the name of the platform. It's called YouTube. It means you can broadcast yourself to anybody. That's what YouTube means. You get to present whatever you got to say or whatever you want to do or whatever kind of entertainment or videos of cats, makeup tutorials, stunts, tricks. I mean, it's YouTube. Whatever you want to do, it's open and available to everybody. Which is, I mean, for all these people that talk about democracy, right? Well, you're giving power to all the people when you have such a platform as YouTube. There is no, YouTube doesn't have a pretense yet anyways where they can pick who's allowed to speak on their platform. That's what freedom of speech, that's what freedom actually entails. But you're going to get a completely opposite and contrary narrative when you listen to the rhetoric being espoused by this particular contributor to NBC. The author of this particular article is Rebecca Lewis. In August, as neo-Nazis rioted in Chemnitz, Germany, YouTube users were recommended videos from extremist sources blaming the riots on refugees. YouTube was also castigated by researchers at the Counter-Extremist Project and by MSNBC host Chris Hayes for broadcasting terrorist propaganda and conspiracy videos. Hayes recently posted a Twitter thread of horrific results YouTube returned for a search on the Federal Reserve. Let me just say, and the Fed, Ron Paul, hey, don't go by, listen to this stuff they're talking already. Like I say, hands off here. Don't go by what I got to say. Just learn about what is the Federal Reserve? How did it come to exist? What does it mean? What does it represent? What do they do? You might want to educate yourself in some manner, definitely in regards to what you need, why any country would need a central bank. You know, a monopolization of the currency in any particular country. And one that can print it whenever they see fit. Which, for the rest of us, that's called counterfeiting. But for some reason, the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the United States, well, they can just do whatever they want to stimulate the economy, right? Like I say, look into that. There's nothing conspiratorial about being interested in why there's such thing as a central bank. What is a central bank? There's a lot of people out there that are probably curious. Why do we need a central bank? What does it mean? What does it represent? Curiosity should never be condemned or suggested as being conspiratorial. Elsewhere, journalists and researchers have documented women YouTubers promoting white supremacy. So now it's women. What happened to the, hey, we're all together, right? Well, I guess this particular Rebecca here, Rebecca Lewis, well, she's more than willing to throw women under the bus if they don't align with her political ideology or her particular opinions in regards to politics. And YouTube stunts promoting extremist politics in a media environment similar to right-wing talk radio. I mean, listen to it's just a bunch of adjectives and bullshit that has there been any argument offered here yet? Not yet, but hey, let's read on. Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Sheryl Sandberg, and Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey have been called to testify before Congress in high-profile hearings that question their products, politics, and allegiances. And yet, YouTube has remained conspicuously absent from these calls for platform accountability. I guess they just haven't come up with an excuse or a proper narrative yet to try to throw YouTube as a platform under the bus so that they can suppress, silence, or deny anyone from saying anything that's not aligned with their particular ideologically driven narrative. I guess, hey, YouTube seems to be doing a much better job than most, apparently. This is a mistake. YouTube is a principal online news source for young people. According to Pew Research Center, 73% of U.S. adults use YouTube and 94% of 18 to 24-year-olds do. Yeah, everyone uses YouTube. Not necessarily for the news source. Like I said, a lot of them just watch other people's videos. And if those videos just happen to have political or newsworthy commentary or rebuttals or different opinions, facts, or political stances that's in contrast to those in the established media or other established platforms. Hey, so sorry about that. Are we only allowed to have one or two or a very narrowly confined or defined amount of opinions that we're allowed to hold in our heads? Really? Is that what this Rebecca's trying to suggest? How dare we be allowed to think outside the box? How dare we be inundated with information, opinions, or stances that are in contrast to those who are represented or promoted from those in the established media? Is that what you're saying, Rebecca? Are you really trying to go with that narrative? Because if you are, you're going to see why you and the rest of your ilk are failing badly. When you try to silence or suppress other people and think that you can just prevent them from listening to other things, or you suggest that what? We're all too fucking stupid, I guess, right? Is that what it is? We're just all so stupid that we shouldn't be allowed to listen to anything that's not approved by our political or media masters? Is that what you suggested? And don't you ever question in your mind how other people might perceive that kind of mentality, that kind of entitled logic? Another Pew study found that the platform was second only to Facebook as the most popular social network for viewing news stories. At the same time, YouTube, a subsidiary of Google, has a business model that helps amplify and propagate extremism through social networks. Hey, wait a minute. Before I continue on, hey, wait a minute. MSNBC, like NBC, Fox, and all the other established medias, and just like in Canada, CBC, CTV, hey, you all have YouTube channels, right? So you're on there, so it's all fair game. I guess what you're really talking about, what you're really scared of, is that nobody really cares to hear what you got to say because people recognize that you're lying to them on a daily basis. That's really what this is all about, isn't it, Rebecca? Is you're losing the battle, the information war, and it really pisses you off. You can't stand to lose that control, to lose that power. That's what your real grievance is all about, isn't it, Rebecca? Over the past year, I have researched what I and my Data and Society Research Institute colleague Joan Donovan termed the Alternative Influence Network on YouTube. I found that YouTube provides a venue for an alternative media universe comprised of hybrid counterculture of entertainers, journalists, and commentators discussing similar themes, criticizing mainstream news outlets, and interacting as guests on each other's channels. Oh no! Are you? Oh, Rebecca, the sky is falling that other people are given the opportunity to challenge your narrative. Oh no, Lord forbid. Within this media system, many influencers intentionally or unintentionally destabilize the worldviews of young people by turning them against the mainstream media. Well, you guys are given the opportunity to counter that, right? But apparently you're losing out. And I wonder why that is. Seems like either the other people are much better at doing their job than you are, or the people just plain recognize that you're lying to them and these other people are being much more honest with them. Right? Sorry to bust your bubble, Rebecca. Some influencers encourage their viewers to openly embrace racism, misogyny, and white nationalism. Hey, some people upload videos that are really, really messed up. We admit that, but you know what? You know what, Rebecca? Let me just show you something here real quick. If I come across a video that I don't like, guess what? Oh, I can hit this thing. It's called close. Easy as pie, right? It's called personal choice. You might not like what other people choose to watch. Matter of fact, there's a lot of things that I'm sure I don't agree with that people watch and consume, but you know, that's kind of called freedom, Rebecca. That's kind of called liberty. You might want to learn what that represents, because the fact that you have the ability to say what you got to say in this publication says that apparently you kind of really like those freedoms. To be clear, YouTube's glut of white supremacist content isn't simply a glitch in the platform's content delivery system. It's the product of a social problem badly exacerbated by technology, and which extremists have exploited to amplify their messages as widely as possible. The company's decision to ban InfoWars founder Alex Jones' channel only addresses the biggest animal in the herd. Well, first of all, let me just tell you something here, Rebecca. This might shock you, but Alex Jones was around long before YouTube. And everyone that likes what Alex Jones has to say or likes to consume his content, they could watch it before and listen to it before, and they can still watch and listen to it now. So YouTube really doesn't have any influence in that matter. It's just someone, basically, yeah, political activists such as you forced him off of that platform, but you're still not going to prevent him from being able to espouse or spew the kind of rhetoric or information he likes to say. You know, just like George Norrie, you know, think about some of the conspiracy theories that was propagated by a lot of the people in, well, CBC in Canada, you know, overnight shows that covered the George Norrie show, or PBS, or whatever these other public broadcasts, where you had people that, yeah, they say some weird stuff. So what? Hey, people still believe that the earth is flat. Hey, people still propagate that aliens have landed. Are you hating on them too? Because that's not truthful, is it? That's a bit conspiratorial, isn't it? Now, what it is, once again, you're only worried about politics because, once again, you're losing the information war. That's the only thing that you are seriously concerned about. And rightfully, you should be. Multitudes of other extremist channels remain, including white nationalists and reactionary influencers. Many lesser known channels broadcast to hundreds of thousands of followers on a platform that profits from pushing their message. Unmoderated, unedited, and unabated. Once again, it's called freedom of speech and freedom of expression, Rebecca. YouTube relies on viewers to flag content that exceeds the platform's community standards. And those who watch extremist influencers rarely do it. Why? Obviously, the people that are consuming that stuff really like it. So yeah, there's a pretty good chance that they're not going to try to report the people and report them for what? For expressing something, whether it's Rebecca, the whole point of freedom of speech is not for things that you like or that are so easily understood or non-controversial, right? Or confrontational. No, the whole point of freedom of speech is to allow even the things that you have utmost disdain and hatred for to be propagated by other people. Because once again, words are words and they can't hurt a soul. And offering an opinion or taking a stance on a political or ideological or offering people, opinions or narratives that you might not necessarily like or have disdain for, that's, sorry, there's nothing illegal, immoral, or unjust about that. Like I say, once again, I don't know how many times I've said this, but hopefully Rebecca gets it. Freedom. Freedom, Rebecca. Freedom. It's called freedom. You might want to try to embrace it sometime. Instead, YouTube audiences are at risk of radicalization by influential figures who gain viewer trust through long-term, one-sided relationships with audiences. Once again. So basically, Rebecca's suggesting that if people watch these channels, they'll be immediately radicalized so easily just by listening to the rhetoric. Well, aren't you kind of admitting that these people can be easily radicalized by your own particular rhetoric, right? Or your particular opinions and stance? Or are you saying they can only be radicalized from right-wingers or these so-called white nationalists, but no, they can't be influenced by anyone else or no one on the left? Once again, logic has completely escaped this woman throughout this entire article. Influencers broadcast the minutiae of their lives, react to their viewers in real time, and talk to them through interactive chat features on channels that can net thousands of dollars in a single broadcast. Like other YouTubers, members of this alternative influence network strive to make their content lighthearted and fun with what they present as a sensible message of rebellion. And this sometimes leads new viewers gently towards the viciously racist, sexist, and homophobic content that maximizes viewership and donations. Anyways, made it through that ridiculous article, but come on, folks, listen to this kind of rhetoric. Like I say, this is just someone, once again, she represents, I don't know how big of a number, I haven't counted, each particular person, but at least a substantial portion of the people that propagate news and media throughout the establishment, and they do have some influence. How? Hey, your guess is as good as mine, but I guess, those that like to claim victim mentality and have that victim psychology, who just have no self-esteem, right? Or just don't know how to think critically about any issues. I guess that's mostly the audience that people like Rebecca appeal to, but I guess that's probably why your message isn't going to get through to people that look to alternative sites like YouTube, for their so-called news and information. Well, I guess it's because they don't want to listen to this kind of rhetoric, that kind of stuff that you spew no more. Rebecca, stop treating me like a child. Start treating us like adults, like that we actually know how to think for ourselves. Because the more and more you leftists and you nanny state authoritarians constantly trying to propagate this kind of message, the more you turn the people against you. I mean, just look out there. Look out there in the Western world. They're all revolting against you for this very reason. Create a real argument. Do some genuine rebuttal. Actually use your brain, Rebecca. Use your brain. Instead of just, vitriol and hatred and spewing a bunch of nonsense, just use your brain. Make a real argument. Or here's an even better idea, Rebecca. And I'll offer you this invitation right here now. Call me up. Or actually, no, you can't call me because I'm not going to give you my number. But I'll tell you what. Put a message. If you see this video, or if someone that knows Rebecca sees this video, you know what? I'll have a conversation with you. I'll give you all the time, ample time to say whatever you got to say. And allow me to push back. But let's have a conversation. I'm not going to try to hate on you. I'll be reasonable. I'll be nice. I'll be respectful. But instead of hating on people because I would imagine that I would be contained within these people that you have such disdain for. So, hey, let's talk, Rebecca. Right? Don't hate me. Let's just talk. And maybe through conversing with each other, you can kind of come to understand where I'm coming from, and maybe I'll learn where you're coming from, and maybe we can start to come together instead of constantly trying to divide. Because I don't care about the divide. I don't want to divide people. I want to bring us together, which is why I want to have conversations, debates, and dialogue with people that have views or opinions that are counter to my own. I don't like functioning in an echo chamber. That's easy, right? No. I don't care about doing things the easy way. I want to do things that are challenging, because those are the things that benefit me and benefit others and benefit the people that I have those conversations with and everyone else that are watching and looking on. Or listening, for that matter. It's G'day Libertarian, and I love liberty.